Without Context.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Without Context podcast. I am Decavolty, as always, joined by SharkyHat, and we've got X back.
Hello. I hope y'all had a happy new year.
We absolutely had to talk about our top 10 favorite or wrestlers who had a good 2022 or a great 2022 in some cases.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird mix up for this episode. It's like top 10 for 2022, top 10 for us, just who entertained us.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a wrestling episode if we didn't talk about the most recent happenings, which to our understanding right now are just
Rumor.
Speculation of WWE being purchased by, I believe it is called the Saudi Arabia Private Investment Fund firm. It's a I think from what I saw, it's actually a part of the Saudi Arabian government.
Yeah.
But that is unsubstantiated claims right now. No talent seems aware of it, and it has been debunked by, or at least challenged by a few other people. So that's kind of the interesting happenings right now.
Hey, for the record, don't you just love when something like this happens right when you're in the middle of planning something else?
Yeah, we're like working on we're sitting here working on our lists and everything, and then it's like, boom, hey, this is happening, and it's like, okay, well, we're gonna have to have a passing mention at least.
It's like the pro wrestling universe goes, hey guys, I know you're working on this top 10 episode and it's gonna be really fun, but let's just go off the rails, like really off the rails for a second, and just create all this drama.
However,
that's pretty much what we are.
They are not free of blame because they still got Vince McMahon back as the executive.
Vince is back, Stephanie's gone, and if you watched NXT the night before we recorded this, so that Wednesday, some of the match finishes were very clearly very Vince in nature.
Yeah.
So a championship match being ended by count out because a ring rope broke.
That stressed me out. It really did.
There's a reason they didn't end the show with it. I think they opened the show with it, right?
Yeah, no, that was like, it was
like
middle of the show.
Middle of the show.
And it's a good thing they didn't.
Yeah. So that's a thing.
So we have that to worry about for 2023, but whatever.
Yeah. And if it happens, we'll talk about it. So
yeah. But onto our top 10 lists. We divided these into 3 different categories because and I'll get to these reasons in a sec, but we did the male wrestlers, we did female wrestlers, and then we did tag teams as their own thing. For me, at least, it was really hard trying to justify with the way that American, at least, wrestling is booked. It is very hard for me to justify having a female wrestler in the spot of where the men's is, or taking a slot of a tag team. And it just made sense to divide them up because women's wrestling is booked not great in America, at least. And
unfortunately,
I can't speak for how it is in New Japan or anywhere else, but I assume
it's only recently
better.
It's become recently a thing where, New Japan is presenting female competitors because Stardom over there was their sister branch where they had all the women's wrestling. It is booked a lot differently than the men's. It's actually booked with most of the time less importance, which is kind of upsetting at times. But that's why I felt like, because that question is like, hey, do we consider tag teams, a full unit? And then it just kind of broke into, let's just make 3 lists. So this is our top 10, top 30 wrestlers.
Top 30. Hey,
I'm just grateful that there was enough happening in tag team wrestling this year to even consider having a top 10 list for that. So I'm really grateful for that. I am.
Yeah. And I'm very curious because we showed each other lists and everything, but I like to hear, the reasons why they're in certain positions. So
I think let's just start with the men's.
Yeah. Do you want to do
did anyone else have honorable mentions besides me?
I had a couple.
Okay, well, we'll start with that then. I had an honorable mention of CM Punk, actually.
I mean,
because
he came in and did his thing and got hype around him.
Yeah, and as much like he joined at what was it, late 2021, and then had just banger matches with younger talent, which is exactly what he said initially that he wanted to do. He had Darby Allin, he had Dax Hardwood, he had John Silver. He got a good match out of, and I'm not knocking John Silver, but like, you know, he got a compelling match with him.
Yeah.
And my personal favorite is a match he had with Max Caster, which is, I think, one of the matches where he actually injured himself.
Yeah.
So, but it was a good match. It was entertaining. That was my entertaining match for me. So I have CM Punk as an honorable mention.
I had Kevin Owens as an honorable mention because mostly because I think he started the year with this feud with Ezekiel, so to speak, you know, which was, you know, Elias with a shaved beard. But, you know, he came back after WrestleMania, I think last year, and Kevin Owens just probably did some of the best character work through that whole, you know, through that whole feud. And now he's just positioning himself to a point where he's just getting better and better every week. So, you know, from where he started last year to where he was now, or to where he is right now, I really feel like he has moved leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
Almost to where he was like maybe 5 years ago when he was Universal Champion. So for me, he's an honorable mention for me this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's also it's just a fan booking. He is scheduled to take on Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like that match has been set up.
Mm-hmm.
They're teasing the Sammy screw.
They are. I mean, it's a good build to it, and a few of those names are on my list here, but some different reasons. My honorable mention, Konosuke Takeshita, just for being how young he is, and just the work rate that he already has, and just the skills he has in the ring. I mean, he's still very fresh to me as a viewer, but everything he's been in has just been a banger. Like, the guy is just naturally talented, and I can't wait to see him move up the echelons a little bit in AEW, or more probably AEW, especially if WWE is bought out by the Saudi Arabian government. I think we're going to see like the golden age of AEW start to slowly form.
I actually have Konosuke Takeshita on my list, so that'll be, when we get to that, we'll get to that for very similar reasons. Yeah.
All right, so at the beginning of this very long episode, this is probably going to turn out to be.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while.
Yeah.
Who do you have for number 10, Deca?
I have Chris Jericho.
All right.
I think Chris Jericho had a really good 2022. He's another one who had a lot of good matches with younger talent, especially during his, like, you know, Ring of Jericho like whole thing when he was the Ocho. I think he had some really good matches. I'm not particularly high on Chris Jericho for what it's worth, and I'm putting him on this list because I cannot deny his match quality with a lot, like in the role he's taken in AEW as like almost like a mentor figure, and it shows in the way he's got like the JAS. He's got these great matches with these young up and coming talents. It's really good to see.
For his age too, he can still wrestle. It's absurd. Like
he's still doing moves like he did in WCW.
He's still hitting line salts every now and then. Like,
and on top of that, he's still reinventing himself. And I had Chris Jericho on my list a lot higher, but I'll go into that later.
Of reinvention. Like, I don't think we're ever going to see a stale Jericho, even the older.
I don't think we are either, because he just knows how to just freshen up his character every once in a while to keep it interesting, and I appreciate that. I really do.
Yeah, you know, eventually he'll get to the age where he can't wrestle, but I mean, he'll probably still have that personality as a manager or an on-screen figure of sorts, and he'll be able to continue that character work.
On commentary, I will say that.
Yeah,
he sucks on commentary.
He does.
He tries too hard to get himself over.
It's rough.
All right, X, who'd you have for number 10?
Surprisingly, I had MJF at number 10. For the simple fact that MJF had a stellar year, but I understand that most of it was on the back end of 2022, but he did some really solid stuff at the beginning of the year, you know, with that feud with Wardlow that he had. trying to get him out, Wardlow trying to get out of his contract. But the thing was, the reason why I put him at number 10 was because he had like a 4-month layoff in between because he got absolutely destroyed by Wardlow. I can't remember which pay-per-view it was. I think it was Double or Nothing.
Yeah, it was one of them, the squash match, and then stretch it out.
And then he just disappeared for a while, and he was off television. I mean, he came back, during he came back during the casino ladder match
with the new squad.
Somebody grabbed the chip for him, and but like I said,
his goons do his work.
Right. Yes, I guess he used the firm in that song. Yeah, I guess he used the firm to get the chip for him.
Yeah.
He came back, and he kind of had a pseudo face run, which I thought was interesting. Okay.
It's weird because MJF, he did come back leading the firm, and then within a few weeks, he's feuding with the firm.
Yeah.
And then the feud's forgotten about.
Yeah.
After they put him through the table before his championship match.
And we were there that night, and I was there that night when that happened. So yeah, because that was one of the AEWs we went to. Yeah,
it was just a weird turn of events. Like, okay, cool, the firm turned on him. Ethan Page is turning on him, so we're setting up like an Ethan Page feud. It's like, oh no, he's feuding with Moxley and Danielson because of knocking out Regal. So what happened to the Ethan Page storyline?
It just disappeared. We never finished that we never finished that subplot, which, I can't stand finished subplots, by the way. Yeah. But overall, that's kind of why I couldn't put him any higher. Because I know he was a lot higher on my list earlier, but during the first 3 drafts of this, but I just could not justify putting him higher than 10 because of all that stuff that happened. Because he was kind of all over the place.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it in the Discord last night. It seems like all of his feuds are the same thing. If you want to challenge me, you have to go through these trials. It's mostly promo work. Like, we see him wrestle the big matches, but he doesn't wrestle much between then. And it's like, how long can that pattern continue? Like, he needs to start showing us that he can actually, wrestle too. It's not just 3 months of talking and then losing or winning through some means, then 3 months of talking and then another match. Like, he doesn't wrestle often.
He ended the year with a relatively soonish match between having the match or between the match being booked and it actually happening with
it's Ricky Starks.
Was Ricky Starks, and I thought that was a good match. I do like I guess I like my heels, and you'll see when I get to MJF. He is on my list. I like my heels that even if they don't wrestle every week, they want you to punch him. They want you to have that face, punch him in the face.
Yeah. But I mean,
those are my kinds of heels.
Yeah, I mean, eventually there has to be more to the package too,
Mm-hmm. You just kind of want to see MJF take that next step now that he's the champion, instead of, just doing the same old, you got to go through these trials to get a title match. I mean, we kind of need to see an evolution of MJF this year.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, it's probably going to get old really fast.
My number 10, I have Roman Reigns for the simple fact that he is a good presence, but again, his matches are so predictable at this point that it's like when the match comes on, I just don't even watch it because I know how it's going to finish most of the time. And it's kind of bumped down because he's not even the main character of his own story anymore. Sami Zayn is the main character of the Roman Reigns story.
I think that's yeah.
And it's like
I can see where you think that, yeah.
He's definitely becoming like that Cena figure now where he'll wrestle the big matches and he'll have a presence, but it's going to be most of the time the same thing. There's never going to be a lot of innovation. I think like the most creative thing he's done in a match lately was letting Brock Lesnar destroy the ring with a bulldozer. Like it's going to be...
That was pretty cool though.
It's going to be, he's in trouble. The Usos are going to help him squeak out a win. But the thing is, like, he's a heel, yes. But it's been like that for every match he's had in months. And it's just like, it's not entertaining to watch him in the ring anymore because you know how it's going to finish. It's entertaining to see how he furthers the Sami Zayn story. So, I wanted to put him higher, but it's just like him in general is just, he's there, but he's not the focus anymore.
I also have Roman Reigns on my list. Much higher. Like I said, that's just the way I like my heels. Is I want that person who's coming to the ring to be the one to like punch him, right? I think Roman Reigns does that.
I also have him a lot higher on. I think I have him a lot higher on my list. Also, the thing is, to your point, I get it. Okay, that's pretty much he's pretty much getting the Brock Lesnar style of booking. Where they have to do these things continuously with him. They have to make him seem like this unbeatable presence. But the reason why I have him much higher on my list because with Sami Zayn in the mix, it kind of changed his character a little bit, and I'll get into that later.
Yeah,
I'll tell you why.
The inherent difference though is that with MJF, he's not always there. Like he'll show up, and it's like most of the time when it comes down to that feud, it's the Usos wrestling, and they almost wrestle every week, but it's usually like the same kind of finish. With MJF, you do get that less wrestling, but it's always for like the bigger matches. But if it's like week after week after week of just Uso, Roman, Solo, just doing the same thing over and over, it's going to kind of just like lose its, just, can we get a different segment for 1 week? Like,
I do think we've hit the peak of like where it's gonna take us. So to your point, I see that, but I also see that it's going to change very soon.
Yeah,
given the dynamic is starting to like splinter a little bit. They
need to pull the trigger at Royal Rumble and have Sammy do something, either cost Roman or turn on Roman. Like they need to do something, or swerve us, hit us with Solo doing something. You have to change the story a little bit, because I don't know how much longer I can take it in its current state. But yeah, that's why he couldn't be higher on my list, at least for me, because I just don't get the same kind of enjoyment out of it every week.
Ironically, I kind of feel the same about Bray Wyatt.
Oh yeah,
right now.
That's why he's not even on my list.
Yeah, Bray's not on my list either. So I can't judge him. He's just there. Like, he's not doing anything.
He's just showed up.
Shows up, cuts a promo, leaves, doesn't elaborate.
It's just dragging on.
It's the same case. Bray Wyatt's not even the main character of his story anymore. Uncle Howdy is. Like, how are you not the main character of your own gimmick? It's just, what the fuck? Like,
it just works out like that, and that is, I feel the same. Like, they're pushing this Uncle Howdy character a lot further than Bray right now, and he's just kind of been relegated to background.
Yeah, he's even in Alexa Bliss's story.
Yeah, he's even in Alexa Bliss's story. It's like,
yeah.
Oh my god, and they talk about just how LA Knight fell off of that, but that's a whole different thing. Move on to number 9. Yeah. Deca, what you got?
All right. I've got Braun Breaker. I think very quietly, Braun Breaker has been having he had a really quiet, great 2022, because no one talks about NXT, right?
Until last night.
But he's been the champion the whole yeah.
Like a 500 million people that watch it still, dude.
Yeah.
I'm one of them, actually, by the way.
Yeah. But like, no one actively talks about it, right? Like, no. You don't see it on social media. You see a couple people here and there talking about it, but I think he's had like a really good year. Like in 2022, he was going up against he went against Ziggler in 2022, right? On Raw. That's where he like won the NXT championship back.
Yeah. Which
he didn't win at WrestleMania, which is bonkers to me, but whatever. Booking decisions, not my thing. But like, he still won on national television.
Yeah.
And I think just like from then on, like, yeah, they like watered him down a little bit with his, really shitty singlet that they gave him.
Yeah.
For Raw. Like, you guys know who this is, right? Like, but
he
made the best of he made the best out of it, right?
Yeah.
He had that one. He referenced his Big Papa Pump.
They did the math
promo.
They did the Steiner math.
He did
in a promo.
They referenced the Steiner math in a promo. And I think he's had a really good year. I think the Worlds Collide match with Tyler Bate was like the peak this year for him.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Bate will make anybody look good in the ring.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, that definitely helps. But he won, and he's continued to have the belt pretty consistently.
Yeah. Till last night, where he won it via countout because the ring broke, which is a weird booking decision.
That's 2023, not 2022.
Right there.
Who you got for number 9X?
I had Seth Rollins at number 9. He has had one of the more stellar 2022s without really winning a major title. I mean, he won the United States Championship a couple months ago, but Seth Rollins has had a really quiet and stellar 2022. He started this year feuding with Cody Rhodes, and to me, that was one of my favorite feuds of 2022. Okay, the way those two went back and forth, the chemistry, the matches they had, they were all brilliant. And Seth Rollins just made it work in such a fantastic way, especially when he came out in that steel cage match with Cody, when Cody had the separated pec muscle.
Yeah,
he came out with the polka dots as a way to kind of get inside Cody Rhodes' mind. And then he just quietly transitioned into being a face because that theme music he had was getting over so much, so quick. And overall, like I said, he just made it work. You know, rather than just kind of like, rather than just not, paying attention to it at all or not doing anything about it, he kind of started leaning into it.
Yeah,
which ultimately turned him face eventually.
He has a good feud against a good heel in Austin Theory.
Yeah, he did.
Was his match with Roman this year where he showed up like wearing the shield, doing the shield entrance this year?
That was early in the year,
or was
I think.
I think it was. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's so. Well, my point of that is like, yeah, he has a history of like showing up in an outfit that means something to one of the other people in the ring.
Because he's really good at irritating the person he's going against.
Yeah. Yes.
It's the mind games.
Good way. He loves mind. He knows how to play mind games.
Really
so yeah.
good.
And on top of that, yeah, he had a really good feud with Austin Theory, which is still continuing on, and I'm really starting to enjoy that. That's been one of the highlights of Raw the last several weeks or so. So yeah, that's why I have him at number 9.
Yeah, it was the Royal Rumble of this year, so about a year ago. So
yeah,
but
yeah,
I mean he did have a good year, and he is like slowly transitioning to face against the heel in Austin Theory, and if the things are to be believed, a soon-to-be heel Bobby Lashley. So it's gonna be a good U.S. title picture. Inverse. What are you saying?
I was just gonna say it should be a really good match there.
Yeah. Inverse to X, I have Cody Rhodes at number 9 because of the same reasons. He wrestled 3 banger matches against Seth Rollins, and he did one injured to all hell. And I mean, the electrifying return, which everybody saw coming. 4 great matches because he faced the Miz.
Yes.
Prior to Rollins. And or he faced the Miz like after Rollins, and then the whole Rollins feud continued. And it's obvious he's coming back for the Rumble. Like they're doing the vignettes and everything for him. So we're about to see the return of Cody Rhodes.
Don't forget, he started the year losing the TNT Championship in the Unification TNT match. That was 2022.
He did, yeah. That was
he lost it to Sammy Guevara and then fell off the fucking face of the earth for 6 months.
Yeah.
And then WrestleMania.
And then showed up at WrestleMania, beat Rollins clean 3 times. Like it's wild that they were just that Rollins took that 3-match losing streak like that.
Well, and because he's on your list, X, like it just goes to show that he didn't suffer for it at all.
Oh no, not in the least bit.
He got out of the feud because of Cody's injury, and then he went right into a great feud with Austin Theory, and took the 3rd most successful member of the Shield insult.
And Austin Theory got a
when Moxley was champion.
And the thing is, Austin Theory got a really good reboot this year.
Yeah, he did.
They kind of got him away from the stupid, selfie thing. They got him away from the stupid selfie taking gimmick, and they just made him a lot more serious and a lot more angry. And I'm really enjoying Austin Theory right now.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe he might make my end of the year list this year, depending on what happens.
Well, I'm looking at the time and I'm looking at the list, and I'm like, this might have to be a 3-parter. So
it's probably going to.
I'm totally fine with this being a 3-parter.
So see what we can get through
We
tonight.
also started kind of late.
Yeah. So let's move on to number 8. Who's your number 8 for 2022?
I got Wheeler Yuta.
Nice.
I think Wheeler Yuta had a breakout year. Like matches against Bryan Danielson, against John Moxley, against and then joining the Blackpool Combat Club by literally painting it with his own blood was metal as hell.
Yeah.
That was a moment for Wheeler this year.
He's relatively young, and I mean they put the Ring of Honor title on him too. So I mean, the thing we've noticed about AEW and Tony Khan is that he's definitely hiring the younger guys. He's prepping for that transition period from where all the current guys, are starting to leave, and we have this new generation of wrestlers coming in. Where I think WWE is kind of lacking in that regards. Even with their NXT people, I think a lot of those people are still young, but they're older than I think the people that AEW are bringing in.
Yeah.
So we're going to see a nice little next generation roster on AEW if, things go well and people stay and all that.
Yeah. I think yeah, it was good. I think he just broke out this year.
Yeah, I mean, he started with Best Friends, proved himself in the match with Moxley and Danielson, joined them, was featured on TV a lot, got the exposure, teamed with Cesaro and Danielson and Moxley.
He even had those matches against MJF this year. I think that was this year.
That was a few months ago, actually.
MJF was this year. Yeah. He had the short feud with Garcia, which was awesome. So
he won the pure title back from Garcia. As a matter of fact, at the last Ring of Honor pay-per-view, which I would recommend you go check that match out if you haven't. It's a banger of a match.
Who do you have for 8, X?
For number 8, I had Swerve.
Swerve's on my list. He's definitely higher on my list, though.
Yeah. Because the thing is, Swerve is really out here proving exactly why WWE made a mistake letting him go.
He's proving why Hit Row was good.
He's just proving why. Because Swerve just has... I've been a fan of Swerve since he was Killshot and Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
Because he had a banger of a match with AR Fox in that promotion.
They ran it back.
Violent as shit. They ran it back this year, and it was still just as good. But I would recommend you go see that as well. Swerve and his character work are just top notch. I've got nothing but good to say about Swerve. Okay, he's really cool on camera. He comes out. He just has his own style. He has
swagger.
His own charisma. He just has hell of a charisma, and he had a really funny segment with Billy Gunn. Over around October, or was it around Halloween?
Yeah, when he kidnapped Billy Gunn.
Billy Gunn and snapped his finger or something.
I like Crazy Swerve.
Psycho right there.
It was very short-lived, but I loved Crazy Swerve during the Swerve in Our Glory acclaimed feud.
Yeah, I really wanted more Psycho Swerve in that situation because I wanted to see how far he would really take it.
Was that more of a callback to Killshot in Lucha Underground?
I think Killshot was more of a mercenary, hired by.
Yeah,
gotcha.
This is just Swerve being the absolute psycho.
This is just Swerve being Swerve. This is Swerve doing character.
Okay. It's in his name, right?
Yeah.
And now he has his faction with Mogul affiliates now, which we have Parker Boudreaux, who was, I forgot his name in NXT, but
he was that guy that was supposed to be the next Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, well, they paired him up with Joe Gacy, I think, before Joe Gacy had schism, but there was him, and then there's this dude who they still haven't revealed his name yet.
Somebody did. He's a former MMA guy. I
Yeah,
think.
no, he's a former baseball player.
Former
Because
baseball
I looked it up myself, but for some reason they haven't revealed his name yet on AEW television. So I don't know. I guess they're just kind of keeping him in the cloud of mystery until they get around to doing something with him. But other than that, Swerve has just been on this year, and this year I kind of want to see him, either holding. I want him as world champion eventually, but in the meantime, I want to see him win either the TNT or the All Atlantic Championship.
I can see him definitely
think he
being
would do that division hella good.
the All Atlantic seems like it fit him. That seems like it's their workhorse title for this company. It's not given to the people that get the TNT title are people that like being seen on TV. Like that's why they gave it to Darby because he was popular. They gave it to Wardlow because he was popular. The All Atlantic title seems to be like, hey, these guys are never going to be like the face of the company, but these are the guys that'll always do the work in the ring. Which is why we've had.
Or is that what we're calling Orange Cassidy?
I mean, he can work. He can work.
Yeah, he can.
I mean, his gimmick might be hit or miss for people, but like he can actually like wrestle when the match calls for it. And he was if I had to do an honorable mention, I have best friends as a tag team, but him and Kip Sabian are in a great feud right now where Kip Sabian's actually making him like lose his cool in the ring and like almost attack the ref and everything. Like we're seeing character changes out of him too. So it'll be interesting to see him and Kip Sabian.
I think I'll like him more when he does that, but that's not about him right now.
Yeah, so Swerve is great.
Yeah.
My number 8, I had Eddie Kingston. No, not for any like work rate reason or anything. I mean, his promos are great, and he's good in the ring when he needs to be. But the reason I put him on the list is just that classic image from the Blood and Guts match of him blood covered with a gasoline can. I'm like, this. If somebody asks like, what is wrestling? It's this. Like this is
the Grand Theft Auto still image.
This is the Grand Theft Auto loading screen of Eddie Kingston.
Just ready to set somebody on fire, which is well within his character to do so.
It was, and I mean, like that's all I put. It's like it. If I had to think of iconic 2022 wrestling moments, it's Eddie Kingston with the gas can, like coming down to set Chris Jericho on fire. Like, so that's the only reason I had to put him on the list. It's like that's because that is definitely gonna be like one of the like iconic images I think for AEW when people talk about it. Let's move to number 7.
I actually have Konosuke Takeshita here.
For the bangers that he puts on.
Nothing like, and I think what I like about him most is that he has worked with different types of people. He's worked with like a Cesar Bononi, who's like this 6-foot dude. He's worked with Claudio Castagnoli, John Moxley, all these different styles of wrestling. And he's had just banger performance after banger performance. If you haven't seen his matches on AEW Dark in particular, you're missing out.
Also, by the time
you gotta watch them.
When this episode goes out, he'll be on Rampage going against Bryan Danielson, which is going to be probably a match of the year. That's on Friday, yes. I think
it's on Friday. Ah, shit.
Is that a Friday match?
I thought it was today.
I'll double check. I don't want to be wrong on the internet.
We record on Wednesdays, by the way. So
it's so going to be a banger.
It's going to be a really good match.
I just don't want to. I just don't want to be wrong on the internet.
AEW to put together more matches like this. This is what I was hoping for when they signed all them people.
Like even taking this match.
Nope, it's tonight. Tonight.
It's tonight. Yeah, I thought it was tonight.
Good.
So if you haven't watched it this week, go watch it.
This is definitely going to be a 3-parter because I want to watch that.
We can't predict the ending, but we can know it's going to be a banger.
It's going to be a banger.
Actually, I can predict the ending. He's probably going to lose because of the whole MJF and Danielson. You have to win every match before our championship.
Yeah, but it's going to be a really good match. You should watch it if you haven't already.
I mean, him and Hangman's match. Him and Hangman put on a fucking fantastic match. And there's still people that say that Hangman can't wrestle. It's like
he can.
Hangman's good. I think his storytelling's a little off sometimes, but
his character work does need a little bit of work. But like when Hangman's like put into that position for the match, he will give you the match that you are expecting.
And every now and then, Hangman will just cut an amazing promo. Every now and then, where he just brings it out of nowhere.
I actually deeply like that promo that CM Punk cited as like a personal attack.
Oh yeah.
It was actually a good promo. I was like, I don't know.
He's had some good promos in this feud with Moxley too. Like he's definitely shown like a little bit of like the edge to himself, like because he has to stand against Moxley now. It's out of the first 4 champions, these are the only 2 that haven't come face to face with each other. So I can see that match is probably going to be fucking great too.
Yeah.
Who do you got, X?
Who you got?
I got Jay White, the Switchblade, at number 7.
He's going to WWE.
Well, he could be going to WWE or AEW at this point, but Jay White, we don't talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling often. And I really think that's a really underappreciated promotion. If that promotion had more eyes on it, I think they would appreciate some of the talent they have there, especially Jay White. Yeah. This dude is such an incredibly talented individual. And he single-handedly kind of carried New Japan Pro Wrestling for like some of 2022 until he lost the belt, obviously, to Okada, because Okada's the ace. Let's just be real about that.
Yeah.
But when you put Jay White in those type of situations where he has to carry the company, he just does it flawlessly. Yeah. And I'm always intrigued every time he's on television because he's such a presence on there. Like you just feel something. You feel something sinister about him whenever he's on TV. And I think he popped up on he was on the Forbidden Door pay-per-view.
He was on the Forbidden Door. He was also in AEW programming before that.
That was
I think he was on Impact a little bit this year also, if I remember correctly.
During the big crossover, the big season of crossovers.
Yeah, so Jay White was on like a big US tour, but he just seems like a force of nature whenever he's on television. And it just pulls me in. I really enjoy Jay White.
Was that the Fatal 4-Way match?
Yeah, that was
Adam Cole, Jay White, Okada, and Hangman. We
haven't seen Adam Cole since.
Yeah, that was the match that Cole suffered the second concussion in a short span of time, and he hasn't been seen on TV since. So,
but yeah, that's why I have it number 7. So,
respect.
I just whether he goes to WWE or AEW, I'm already interested because wherever he ends up, he's just going to absolutely kill it.
I would be more interested if he went to AEW to keep more of his character intact, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially like I said, with all the stuff going on with the sale of the company, we don't know who's going to get it. There's rumors that it's Saudi Arabia. There's rumors that it's Disney. And it's just like, if you want pure wrestling, I think people are going to start looking to AEW with a little more, hope to the promotion now. Especially a lot of fans of WWE are pissed off that if this goes to Saudi Arabia, they're done. Like this is the one thing that they can't like support about this company anymore.
Yeah. Knowing how this country feels about Saudis as well, about the Saudi Arabian government as well. Not necessarily people, but the government. That might be a thing that puts more eyes on the AEW product.
I mean,
but that's neither here nor there.
The LGBT, performers, Sami Zayn, Mustafa Ali, like if the government MVP runs things, like what's going to happen to them as performers? Are they going to be on TV? Are they going to be fired? Is it like what's stopping them from pushing that if they want to put that on TV, in their country? Kind of thing. Exactly. It's like I don't think a Saudi Arabian company would be happy if Sami Zayn eventually walks out with a championship title around his waist, and he has to be on TV. Like I don't think they'd agree to that. Plus, going back to a private company, they can do whatever they want if that is the case, because that was one thing. It's saying
TV 14.
The rumor said that they bought it and they were going back to private, which means that they can do whatever they want. Again, those rumors are unsubstantiated right now, but that's the report that was given to somebody from somebody within WWE. It's all up in the air right now, but it's a crazy situation to even have that be leaked, even if somebody's like, I'm just going to make this up. It's like, why would you make up something like that? You know, like
to have something in the collective consciousness like that is kind of fucked.
Anyway, getting off that, because until that happens, I don't think we should talk about that and
right.
further spread that rumor. My number 7, again inversely to X, is Okada. Proving
I actually have Okada next.
I have Jay White as 6. So, Okada not he's on the list. He's not higher on the list because he is proving that he is just New Japan's John Cena.
Just inverse thinking today.
They don't want to keep putting titles on the Gaijins. They don't want him to like leave or go to other promotions. It's like, hey, we're going to put on Okada. Okada's the guy. He'll be here for us. He'll perform. We can trust him to carry the company.
To be fair, how many times did that happen? Like, it happened with Moxley, with Omega.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
that happened with that's happening with Jay White.
It's not just a set of circumstances. The guy's a great fucking wrestler.
Yes.
Even though
he is there for a reason.
He is there. They are trusting him to carry the company because the guy can work.
I mean, he's been my number 1 for many years now, you know. Well, up until this year. But,
I wouldn't know about Kenny Omega.
Okada's always been the best to me.
I wouldn't know about Kenny Omega without knowing about Okada because of their trilogy of matches.
Because without Okada, you have no Omega. Okay, yeah. He's the one who pretty much made him a household name.
Yeah, it's fucking wild. Yeah, so he's definitely proving why he's like the pillar of New Japan.
For sure, the pillar.
We'll go to 6.
I also have him, so I'm gonna keep talking about him.
Yeah.
One of the other things that's remarkable about him, we transition to my number 6 pick up.
I'm just gonna real quick. My 6 is Jay White for the same reasons that Xavier pointed out, but it's the fact that they chose Okada over him, which is why he helped elevate Okada more. And he is a great performer, and he is a great personality, and everything with Bullet Club is great. I want to see where he goes. He's definitely
anniversary of that faction.
I had to just a little side thing here. I suggested to my buddy Josh that if we could get every wrestling promotion to cooperate, just do Elimination Chamber with all of the former Bullet Club leaders.
I'd be down for that.
Just let them, just do 6 men, like 5 or 6 men in the Elimination Chamber. You would have Balor.
Oh yeah.
You would have Styles.
Styles,
Cole, White,
Jay White, Cole.
Omega. Yeah, just all of them in Elimination Chamber.
Jesus.
That'd be pretty cool.
I'd be down for that.
That's fantasy booking.
I would take that. I would take the Elimination Chamber away. I would do like that 5-man Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah. It's just
I would give them my money.
Yeah. That's fantasy booking.
That's fantasy booking, yeah.
But
I would just give them my money.
My number 6, Jay White. He's great. He gave up the title because he is leaving, and he helped to elevate Okada in the process. The match was phenomenal. So let's hear you guys talk about Okada.
I was gonna say, did we both pick Okada here?
Who do you? Who do you have for 6X?
I kind of went a different direction with number 6. I got Sheamus.
Okay, cool. So I think one of the other things I like about Okada is that he's again worked with like people of different sizes. Like he's worked with Switchblade, and then he's also worked with Jonah.
Yeah.
Like I have Jonah next, so we'll talk about that later. But like, he can adapt his style, and he makes it look like, even if it's going to be like a typical Okada match, like he just flips it just enough to be entertaining and different.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
Now tell us about the banger year that Sheamus had.
Oh boy, number 6 is Sheamus for me, and why he's at number 6? Sheamus had probably the best bangers of 2022, especially that match with Gunther at Clash at the Castle. Man, the strength of that match alone made me put him at number 6. I watched that match and I watched that match again afterwards, and I'm like, this is the kind of pro wrestling I grew up with, where it was just big dudes just beating the bare shit out of each other. Okay. Sheamus had those kind of matches this year against Drew McIntyre multiple times. Gunther was the best one for me. He pretty much formed the Brawling Brutes, which, I still love Pete Dunne, aka Butch, and Rich Holland. I mean, regardless of how you feel about Rich Holland.
I like Rich Holland.
I know, for obvious reasons, and I get it. We've covered that already. But Sheamus is just to me, he's kind of been where he was years ago when he first came out. And he's come full circle. Like, back when he was like in the main event picture of the WWE Championship, he was putting on these kind of matches. And I think he's been really underappreciated for so long that we just finally starting to realize how good he really is in those type of matches.
He came out
Sheamus
and
was just
reminded us.
highly entertaining as well.
He reminded us how good he is.
Came out
He just reminded us, because it just took me right back to the early 2010s and 2009, where he won the WWE Championship and he was just so good. Okay,
I was there live when he won his first WWE Championship off of John Cena, just out of the blue. And I remember everyone like online was like, "Oh my God, they botched the finish." I was like, "I saw that shit live. That happened."
Wait, they thought
That was meant to happen.
Wait, they thought they botched the finish?
Wow. People online thought that they botched the finish where John Cena like slipped and fell off on the table, and they had to like go with it.
Oh,
Yeah.
you got to be shitting me! That makes that even better.
No, but like you saw glimpses.
No, I was there live. That happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even before this year, you saw glimpses of that reminded you just how good Sheamus was when him and Cesaro were tag teaming and all that too.
That's
like Sheamus has always been like that sleeper hit on the WWE roster after kind of like fading to the background a bit. But like as he slowly came back to the forefront, it's like, oh, this man is an amazing wrestler.
No, you know what? Sheamus reminds me of, those sleeper hits that came out. Well, the hit that comes out like back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then like 20, 30 years later, TikTok
Like,
makes it
holy
popular
shit, this
again.
movie's awesome.
I was like, oh shit, this is actually a really good song. That's Sheamus. And that's the wrestling version of that. That's who Sheamus is. He's just that good. That he just reminds you just how fucking good he is when he gets in the ring and has matches like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He's great, and I can only hope that, that it gets better for him. I think he deserves
I hope
another
he does
run.
too.
After everything with the Bloodline story is over, I hope Sheamus can get another run with a title before he finally hangs it up.
I want him to win the Intercontinental title to complete his Grand Slam.
Yeah.
You mentioned that he was like a song from the 70s that's getting popular now. Rock Steady by The Whispers. That one that's getting popular on Facebook because people keep humping their phones.
Oh,
that's and it goes full circle because Sheamus played either Bebop or Rocksteady, and I forget which one in the Teenage Mutant Ninja
it was the
Turtles.
second most recent Turtles movie I remember.
Yes.
Yeah. The Michael Bay ones.
Yeah.
All right, let's
But that was what went around for me. That was funny.
I thought I drank that fact out of my head for a while back, and that Michael Bay actually directed Turtles movies.
let's move on to 5.
All right. I have Jonah, like I mentioned, who you guys know as Bronson Reed. Look, if he didn't go back to WWE, he would have had a program with Okada. He got a win off of Okada in the G1 Climax.
Yeah.
That is huge. That is maybe the biggest honor you could have gotten for just like a random, really. Like before that, he was an Impact for a while.
Yeah, he
still
showed up
has
at
Jonah.
Impact after his release, and then he showed up in New Japan.
You know what?
Yeah.
I really think he would have been IWGP champion.
I think so too.
I think the thing is,
He's the type of guy.
I think they weren't going to put the title on him, which is why he let his contract run out. Like, I think the end of the feud, he wasn't going to get it, which is why he let himself, expire the contract time. Yeah, it was weird. He showed up, helped the Miz, and hasn't been saying on TV. Like,
it's a damn shame because he's the perfect type of person to hold the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. They've had champions like that in the past where they've just been big monster dudes. And New Japan ain't afraid to put those titles on guys like that.
and I think he did a remarkable job of like, I don't know if he's necessarily reinventing himself, but he's like showing what he can do with a fuller set with more time to wrestle.
Yeah.
Because I think the match with Okada was quite a long time. It was the main event for that evening too.
Yeah.
It was like night 13 or something like that of the G1 Climax. And then they ran it back, and Okada got his win back, of course. But like, I think he had a remarkable 2022 for somebody who like spent 2022 getting released, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Which
I think he made the most of it.
That's another thing. A little tangent here for the WWE. The FTC is looking to outlaw non-compete clauses in contracts.
I read about that.
So
Good.
if that goes
They ought
through,
to.
that would mean that the WWE cannot put a time limit on people finding new work after being released.
What that means is if you fire somebody, they can show up on AEW or some other television program the
Imagine
following
being
week.
fired Wednesday morning and
I'm
arriving at AEW Wednesday night. Like,
That's some WCW shit if I
that
ever
is some
saw it.
That's some
WCW
Jeff
shit.
Jarrett shit if I've ever saw it.
Who do you got for number 5, X?
I got Cody Rhodes.
Okay.
For reasons we explained earlier about Cody Rhodes, I found out this year just how tough he is.
Yeah, the
Okay,
guy's built different.
the guy's super fucking tough. Like, you don't see, I mean, you see Cody Rhodes, he just looks like this bleach blonde dude from fucking Venice, California. He's perfect teeth and the perfect face and all that shit. But, Cody Rhodes is his father's son. He is proven he's the son of Dusty Rhodes.
He's just as tough as Dusty.
He's just as tough as Dusty, if not tougher. He's from Atlanta, Georgia. This dude went into a steel cage match, weapons and everything of all things, with a torn pec muscle. When he put that coat off at that pay-per-view, I looked down and said, there's no fucking way they're going to go through with this match. But yet Cody went through, 15, 20 minutes with a torn
Full
pec.
match.
Yeah, he
whole
wrestled a
goddamn
full
match.
match. And then probably instantly went to the hospital afterwards.
Yeah, obviously.
He got to the back room. He was like,
he went to
"I
Raw the
need to
next
go."
night, and then he went to the hospital. But you can't tell me that somebody who does that, tears his pec muscle, maybe a couple nights before a pay-per-view, and he has to go out there and wrestle a 20-25 minute match. Jesus, man, this dude is dedicated to what he does. And that showed me a lot this year. I learned a lot about Cody Rhodes.
Couldn't be
I
me.
think the most remarkable
I'd be
thing
too busy
about it,
throwing up.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, same. I think the most remarkable thing about it is that like he did all of that, and he did it because he wanted to, not because some stooge told him to.
Yeah.
No, he wanted to go through with this because he needed to be out there. And I just hope that when he returns, they do right by Cody Rhodes for that, because that's the kind of guy you put a title championship on.
That's
the
the
kind
guy
of
you
person that
immediately put the title on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, and on top of that, he started out the year as a TNT champion, like we mentioned earlier. He had that incredible match with Sammy Guevara, and he set him up on the way out, and Sammy kind of screwed it up a little bit. But that's another story for another, another episode.
Yeah. Going to my number 5. Speaking of Sami Zayn.
I have Sami Zayn at number 4. We're doing it against Sharky.
You know what? Ironically, so do I.
So Sami Zayn for all the
Sami Zayn
reasons.
hour.
Sami Zayn at number 5 for all the reasons mentioned in the Roman Reigns explanation. Sami Zayn is the main character of the current Bloodline story. He's doing fantastic character work. He's doing great comedy. He's having these moments in the matches, like hitting KO with the low blow. And just like solidifying his alliance. He's had a great year just being this like originally like stooge character to the Bloodline, and now he's he is just becoming the main character and the focal point of a story where I'm pretty sure he's going to be the one to ruin it.
I think this is done intentionally.
Yeah.
This is definitely done intentionally. Like, yes, Sami Zayn is as his character is like stealing the spotlight.
Yeah.
But he's doing it in such a way that's endearing to the fans.
He's making him break character. It's so funny.
I think that switch was flipped after that Uzi promo.
Yeah.
Or he's he's not feeling super oozy.
Yeah,
I think after
honestly,
that they flipped the switch.
You know what the best part about Sami Zayn is? He does this flawlessly. Like he doesn't even put forth any effort into trying to break these guys. He just does this shit. Even Solo can't resist this. All right.
The
Waffle House promo.
The Waffle House, yes.
Even then, they all look at him and smile because it's like, because they do go to Waffle House after shows and everything.
Yeah, it's like Sami Zayn is just there. I think his secondary purpose in the bloodline is to break all of them, including Solo. Who Solo's just like this massive, tough ass, take no shit kind of enforcer for the bloodline. And Sami Zayn can just cause him to crack up every now and then, just like the rest of the guys.
Yeah.
You'll see them go like this, like,
yeah,
what's going on.
They just kind of turn the camera like.
Even Roman was doing
it's hilarious.
Like trying not to. Like even Roman, like, God damn it, Sammy.
I truly look forward to every time Sammy's on screen because something cool is about to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what happens.
And the one thing I forgot about, he started the year. I think he was Intercontinental Champion earlier in the year. He made that work as well too.
Yes.
So
the great liberator.
Yeah.
He's not as efficient as Jericho is, but I think we're going to see Sammy be like a great reinventor of himself as the years go on. Whenever it's needed. Like he's in Sammy Uso phase right now. And then we'll probably see like a renewed Sami Zayn after whatever happens, maybe back with KO or completely, solo again. But he's proving that as a performer, as somebody with a promo, he can do it. So I think we're going to see a lot more of him.
It's wild how many times Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens have like fought each other, and they still find ways to make it fresh.
Yeah, it's wild.
It goes back to Ring of Honor too, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, they've had like 20 years of history with each other. I like to see WWE finally acknowledging a bit of the history of the wrestling industry, not just their world of it.
They did that when they wrestled each other.
Yeah, in NXT.
They did acknowledge it in NXT.
Yeah. We're gonna move to 4. I'm just gonna do mine real quick. I had a really hard time picking number 4 because I like comedy wrestling. I really do.
Yeah.
So it came down to either Dexter Lumis or Danhausen, but I have to pick Danhausen.
Fair.
Even if like he's not great in the ring at times, like it's just everything he does when he's involved in things is just for some reason so funny to me. And then we had the one moment this year where he did actually like put on a serious persona and actually like wrestle a match and everything, and proving like, hey, when he wants to, he can wrestle.
Hey, he's a great wrestler. He wants to be a comedy act, and like I respect that.
And that's the thing, like every company needs a good set of comedy actors too. I mean, Santino Marella he would always be considered like WWE's like comedy guy, the fucking Cobra little sock puppet and
That's
everything.
really funny. That was really funny considering he was like a shooter, like a shoot wrestler in like OVW. That was his gimmick.
Yeah, it was just really hard to pick between Danhausen and Dexter Lumis because Dexter Lumis had a fantastic 2022 also. Just everything he did with The Miz.
He did.
Was just so funny, especially the shot when he's laying under the ring still fucking gets me every time I see it. The thing is, like, it's so weird because he's like an older guy. I think he's in like his 40s. But I had never heard of him prior to this. Me. Yeah, he's like late 30s or early 40s, I think, but I had never heard of him before. Like before anything in NXT or anything like that. So
I will say this. I did see him as Samuel Shaw in Impact. This was years ago. He had this feud with Gunner, former who's also Jackson Riker, former Jackson Riker in WWE. They had like they had a feud going on, in that company as well. It was just something I vaguely remember. But yeah.
So it was. I like comedy wrestling at time. It breaks up, the ultra seriousness or like the other stories, and it's just always fun to have something something small there. He's 38. Just looked it up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to tell. Like
He doesn't look 38 at all.
Yeah, so I mean, I love comedy, and Danhausen has always been a great like on-screen character whenever I see him.
Yeah.
So I've had to. It's just like that's a personal preference choice for me. But what do you got for number 4, Deca?
I had Sami Zayn. That's why we were
Sami
talking about Sami Zayn first.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I had Sami Zayn.
We
at
both
4.
had Sami Zayn.
Move to
So
3.
probably moving to number 3.
Yeah.
I have Cody Rhodes actually.
For the reasons mentioned
we
above.
talked about. The reasons mentioned previously, I weighed that much higher, especially given the hype of his departure from AEW as a fucking EVP at that
as a hated
his return.
EVP. Like everybody turned on him because he was just like winning titles and everything, and it's like, god damn it, like this guy's booking himself and all that. It's just like, so everybody hated him, and then he shows up at WWE and everybody loves him.
Yep.
He's
and everyone's gonna love him when he's surprised. Everyone's gonna love him when he surprise returns at the Rumble.
That's your fan base for you.
Don't even put him at number 30. Have him come out as number 2 and have him win the thing. Like, book that decision.
Unironically, my fantasy booking is he loses the Rumble, but the final 4 includes him and Sammy wins the Rumble.
I can see that.
I think that would be compelling.
Accidentally. Let Sammy win it accidentally.
Accidentally.
No, let him legitimately like win it by accident, and then set up the whole thing of like him trying to get out of a championship match.
No, I acknowledge you, my tribal chief. Who you got for number 3? X.
I got Chris Jericho.
All the reasons
For a
mentioned
litany of reasons. I mean, I believe we discussed them earlier, but
yeah,
Jericho, like I said, like we mentioned earlier, he just goes through so many reinventions, and yet it still feels fresh. I think one of the things he did this year that was kind of intriguing was he brought back his old Lionheart gimmick from ECW. I mean, he came out with the Rob Zombie. I mean, he came out with the White Zombie theme. His old gear from ECW. He taps into that, and then he just taps right back into his current character. He goes to the Wizard, and then he taps into his other gimmicks, the Painmaker. Like, he does these things, and yet somehow it still feels fresh with Jericho. Okay, but the biggest thing he did this year was the Ring of Jericho run when he was the Ring of Honor World Champion. That was some of his most entertaining work he's done in quite some time. Okay. Because the whole premise of Chris Jericho being the Ring of Honor World Championship was him bringing dishonor to the title and making that work in such a fantastic way. Because he wanted to.
I think ironically, making it dishonorable was a way of like flipping it around and making the title actually like relevant again.
Yeah.
Dare I say honorable again?
Honorable.
Because somebody had to beat him to restore the honor to the title.
Yes.
But the thing is, what I was disappointed about was I was hoping they would go in that. I was hoping that storyline would go in a direction where Daniel Garcia was the Ring of Honor Pure Champion, and he would just come out and say, "I'm going to go out and face every champion, including current Ring of Honor Pure Champions," and he would just like smack Daniel Garcia, and the rest of the Jericho Appreciation Society would just jump him. And it would lead to a match where Daniel Garcia holds both titles.
This has been a thing with AEW feuds where I appreciate long builds to things. Like, I appreciate the organicness of it. I think not having Garcia helping Bryan Danielson win was the missed opportunity to to create a whole new star.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was the moment to pull the trigger, because now Daniel Garcia is just back to being a lackey without any like real story behind him right now. If he had come in, helped Bryanson win, like Daniel Bryanson, like that would have been it. Like, that would have been the star making moment, because then you can set him up against Jericho, give him the babyface run against the faction. And it's like, it's a weird missed opportunity. It's like what's going on with Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. We know that Jamie's going to turn on her, or Britt Baker's going to turn on Jamie at some point.
They just need to
It
pull
just
the
needs to
trigger on
happen.
it.
Like just let it
It
happen.
just needs to happen.
It needs to happen
Like,
after
No,
this
no,
tag team match.
let them tease it.
Like after this tag team match of Paige and Tony.
I'm okay with teasing. I'm okay with the teasing. It's just pay the storyline off.
Yeah.
Okay. Just pull the trigger on it. Like they could have done this with several storylines in AEW. Like they did it with Hangman Adam Page with no problem.
Yeah.
What's the problem with him just pulling the trigger on these storylines? Because they're not finishing them. It's like an unfinished subplot.
Yeah.
Okay, it was an unfinished plot, and I don't like how they just leave that hanging.
Yeah.
That's a gripe I have with AEW at the moment.
AEW likes to do that so that later on they can pull that thread of like, hey, remember when you did this to me? I'm gonna fuck you over.
Yeah, like I said, I understand
like
the slow burn. Like it's just I just want to see Jamie on a solo run. You know? Like
we're not used to it because of how WWE like finishes a storyline after like a month.
Yeah, it was soap opera writing.
Yeah.
Where it's the equivalent of WWE putting out an episode a day, except every week, and they're just trying to push stuff because they have a pay-per-view in 4 weeks to get to.
Yep.
Where here we have 3 months between all of our pay-per-views and everything, so they have to kind of build stuff up and not rush things.
Yeah, there was a period where WWE was trying to build pay-per-views in 2 weeks because they had so many.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a good idea.
My number 3, Swerve. Just everything he did last year, crazy Swerve. His ability in ring is great. Him as Killshot was great. His whole beginning feud with Keith Lee. It's officially started, but they've written like Keith Lee off with the injury of the cinder block and everything. Yeah. So when Keith Lee comes back, it's gonna be a banger feud. I can't wait. I might get to some different ones now. I know some names that haven't been said. So who's your number 2?
No, we're not with me.
Okay.
I have MJF at number 2.
Okay.
For someone who only wrestled 9 matches this year, every single match he wrestled in, I want to see him lose.
Yeah.
Really badly because he brings that out of you when he cuts promos. I don't particularly think a lot of his promos are like as good as people think they are.
They're not groundbreaking.
But they're not groundbreaking.
They're very
just like
simple heat feuds or heat promos to like piss off the audience a lot of the time.
Right.
And it works.
MJF
and I want to see his face get kicked in.
Contractually obligated to appear in Seattle was how he was advertised to be on TV.
Amazing.
So it's like it does bleed into actual like meta humor too.
I do think that he had a really great 2022. I actually think having his
right, that was this year.
The dog collar match was 2022, I believe.
Yeah, the dog collar match with CM Punk was just a great bloody affair with a great build and a great story behind it. So
I think the Casino Royale ladder match where he just had his goons do his work for him. I thought that was remarkable.
He should have kept the mask.
That was some good shit.
He should have kept the mask.
I don't think you do it all the time, but I think every now and again you have a gimmick match where you just have a bunch of goons jump in and fuck with it. I think that's fine. Yeah. I think that's completely fine.
Because also I think the people that they had in that match weren't people with a lot of storylines at the moment. So there was the feeling of like, this just feels like a filler match. So we were expecting, the main event to be where MJF came back. But they're like, no, we're going to use this match that does seem a bit off to just reintroduce this new faction led by MJF, who it's clear it's MJF, but we like this mysterious persona. And then at the end of the night, have him return to close the show in all MJF, glory.
It was super well done.
It was, and I will give credit to Tony Khan. It was really well done, and it didn't do anything too crazy. It was what it needed to be.
It was just crazy enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's who I have at number 2.
You got X.
I had Jon Moxley at number 2.
I have number 1.
Jon Moxley is quite possibly the most dependable pro wrestler you can have on a roster, especially after all of the shit that happened with AEW during, CM Punk's run. Whenever you need the thing is, whenever you need somebody that can just come in and keep things moving whenever a chaotic situation occurs, that's a plus to have. And Jon Moxley has been that plus to all of 2022. When that press conference had that tumultuous press conference that CM Punk had, where he just pretty much destroyed every bit of goodwill he worked up for over a year. He became champion. He used that moment to shit on everybody he worked with. There was backstage fights. They had to strip the title off of CM Punk, and I don't know if Tony Khan had a plan for what was going to happen after that, but Jon Moxley just kind of stepped in that place, and he basically carried AEW through a really, really bad and embarrassing period where, it was almost neutralized by just the sheer work that he did. Yeah. He pretty much pulled MJF through that feud that he was supposed to have with CM Punk. He stepped in his place. He made that work. And he's just the guy you have to have in a situation like this. Jon Moxley has been working his ass off the entire year. And on top of that, he came back from, because I remember this still, he came back in January after he did a stint in rehab.
Yeah.
Okay. To come back from working through personal demons, to come back and do that is why I put him at number 2. Okay, you have to have some serious willpower to go through all of that stuff, come back and still be the absolute workhorse of a company. A workhorse for your company, excuse me. Can't talk right now. I appreciated that from Jon Moxley, and that's the reason why he's a locker room leader. He's one of the top guys in the company, and is he the best wrestler in the world? That's debatable, okay, because there's several to choose from, but he is the hardest working, most dependable pro wrestler in the world at the moment.
He's like I said, he's the ace.
He is.
He's the ace of AEW.
He is AEW's ace, much like Okada is New Japan's, Roman's, WWE's.
And then on top of that, he just goes and has death matches in GCW forever.
He goes to this. Yeah. He started his career in deathmatch wrestling, and he still does it every now and again.
Yeah. Like he just goes off and does deathmatch wrestling every now and then. It's like, okay.
Yeah,
it's nuts. That's why I like Jon Moxley. He's at number 2 for that reason.
Yeah, like I have him at number 1 for most of the same reasons. My number 2 is Darby Allin. He's still proving, even as the roster gets bloated and new people come in and new storylines start, Darby Allin's a constant in AEW. And he's not trying to fight his way higher. He's in a position and he is doing his role in that position. He's doing it alongside Sting. It's like, and I mean, they're kind of carrying that upper mid card of the company right now. Like, he is the dependable upper mid card guy. He's not trying to go for the world title. He got his TNT title back because, I mean, he does bring eyes to TV. The fans love him. And I mean, he's fucking nuts. I don't think he's gonna have a long career if he continues doing what he's doing.
Oh, of course not.
But
no.
To say like
Jeff Hardy thing,
to say that his feud was like this, him and Sting against Andrade and all that, like that feud had some fucking great story behind it. And then the banger of a match he had with Samoa Joe, and both of them still coming out looking like fucking champions because everything going on with them, and Joe having to take 2 coffin drops to put down. It's like the fact that he could wrestle a match against a man like Joe and still make it believable. You
never go on Darby's Instagram, because like I have Darby on Instagram, and he does some really,
I don't need that
really
stress in my life.
Shit. Like no, I just want to bring this up real quick because on Instagram he does like sometimes they'll just have him doing like insane stunts and shit where he like did a jump with a truck, I believe, and like he did like a crash.
Yeah, I saw him jump a truck over a house. Like,
yeah, he jumped the truck over a house and crashed into like some other fucking cars.
Yeah.
So like Darby Allin is insane. Like I don't know how long of a career he's gonna have pro wrestling wise. And there was just that match he had with Jeff Hardy, I believe, wasn't that 2022 where he just jumped off the ladder and nearly broke his spine on all those chairs.
I think
Jeff
what
Hardy's just like, oh, that's how that feels.
I
Yeah.
think what
I'll worry
illustrates
about
my
him
point
sometimes.
about Darby Allin, though, you have Darby Allin next to Sting, and he's not being overshadowed by Sting
No, he's not.
because he's just that
As a matter of
good.
fact,
Of a,
he's
he's just
fine.
that good of a performer. He's that charismatic. You know, like it's wild to think that hey, this guy is going to be put next to one of the greatest legends in this fucking business, and they're going to stand
Still
as
bumping.
equals, and they're going to feel like equals. Like that is absurd for somebody like that.
As iconic as Sting is, for him to not be overshadowed by Sting, as a matter of fact, Sting is, if anything, is being overshadowed by Darby Allin. That just goes to show you how talented Darby is.
I like Sting
and how
his son,
insane he is
though.
at
Like,
times too.
I do like the duo.
It is father and son.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, I think Sting was like, I think in an interview he said like being paired with Darby and like getting back into like these kind of matches has like renewed his like love of this like industry too. And I mean, the guy's jumping off of balconies to put Andrade through a table. Like,
Don't worry about Sting.
The man is still bumping in like
At
his
60
like
something.
what 60s.
I think he's
He's still doing
62, but he
crazy
looks great. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but like the fact that you can have Darby next to Sting and they feel like equals is just an indication of just his talent as a wrestler and just as somebody who is on your screen each week. It's wild. I need to see him in more feuds against big guys for the TNT title. I want to see Miro come back eventually to get the title off him again. You know,
You can put Darby against anybody, and he can make that look
and
like a
both
million
wrestlers will
bucks.
come out looking better. Like it's
A lot better
crazy.
than they have. A lot better than they went going in.
Move on to number one. Like I mentioned, mine is Jon Moxley for all the reasons that X pointed out. The guy, in terms of on TV, is single-handedly carrying the company through a dark time. I hope that at the end of this feud with Hangman, the guy can get his vacation. He needs it. Like
He needs a nap.
like let some storyline reason for Paige to like let Moxley take a vacation. The guy really just needs his vacation.
It'd be really cool if Hangman gives him like the receipt lariat.
Yeah.
It knocks him unconscious and actually storyline gives him a concussion.
Because with Regal gone too, I think Moxley's kind of outside of this feud with Hangman is just going to be kind of treading water when the feud's over. Unless they just like throw him right into another thing. So let Moxley take a break, man. The guy carried your company for the last few months and just he deserves a break. Let him go home and see his kid. Like
John Moxley is the Larry of this company. Larry from Pokemon Violet.
yeah, and again, anybody that goes against Jon Moxley comes out looking better. I mean, a preview by number one tag team is Top Flight. They look like $1 million after that match with Moxley and Claudio. Like for as young as they are, like those guys did their job to help Top Flight look like the next generation of tag team. They're so smart in the ring. Moxley has such a good mind for this business. I mean, he does bleed every match, which is kind of dumb, but
yeah.
He fits the brawler that AEW needs. Like there's a lot of technical wrestlers, there's a lot of high flyers. Moxley is that pure brawler. He's the Stone Cold of AEW. Like
he punches you in the face, kicks you in the nuts, and
he's not going to shit talk. He's going to call you to the ring. He's going to beat the shit out of you.
He's going to beat the hell out of you. That's what he does.
I respect it.
I mean, the fact that he can single-handedly like help a company through a time like that, though, is why he's earned the first spot on my list. Like AEW should be indebted to Jon Moxley for the last few months.
So I have Roman Reigns at number one for a very similar reason to having Jon Moxley, because if Jon Moxley or if AEW is indebted to Jon Moxley, I think WWE is indebted to Roman Reigns for just how much he has carried them. Like, if you didn't give him both titles, I think whoever you had on, say, Raw as your world champion would have paled in comparison to Roman Reigns. And just what he's doing with the bloodline. And his promo work has gotten so much better over the years. And I think it's hit its like apex here.
Yeah, I mean, the heel persona
in 2022.
The heel persona was the shock that the career needed. So
yes, I think he's doing big things. I think it's time for someone else to visit the island of relevancy.
Yeah.
But I think those seeds are being planted this month.
Yeah.
So I'm giving him the salute with the #1 spot in 2022 as we give his title reign the Viking funeral that it so rightly deserves.
The thing is, like, with everything going on with him and Sammy and KO and just all that story, it can still be great without the titles. Like, there's still enough story behind it that you don't even have to have the titles in that picture anymore to keep that story going.
I also had to give the #1 spot to Roman Reigns also, because throughout this whole throughout 2022, as a matter of fact, going back the last 2 years, going back to when he first won the Universal title, his character work is leaps and bounds above what he used to be. Okay, everything this dude does in the ring right now, and I get it, and I get the criticisms. Yes, sometimes this storyline
it's
gets
mostly
repetitive.
the same match. A lot of the time, it's
the same
spears,
match. It goes
Superman
too long.
punches, somebody's going through an announce table. There's not a lot of
he walks
wrestling.
around the ring, and he walks around the ring and he talks shit like every 5 seconds. That's fine. The thing about Roman Reigns that I like this year above everybody else is the way he does his character work, the way he incorporates his facial expressions, and the way he looks sometimes whenever something happens. Like a prime example of this was like when Sami Zayn and Jey Uso were arguing and shit about, Jey Uso believing Sami Zayn was intruding on his family. And then when Sami Zayn was like, oh, well, what was it? What did he say? He said,
it was when Jay said he doesn't give a damn. He doesn't give a damn about, and you just see Roman look up and
that head turn.
I don't give a damn what the tribal chief says, and Roman just looks up at the camera with almost perfect timing.
Yeah,
and then they and then the production was good on that because they zoom in on his face, and he just has this look in his face like, "You raggedy bitch, you." He turns around slowly. And he just kind of looks at Jay and he walks up slowly to him. It's like, do we have a problem?
Yeah, it's just like the slow, like, you want to repeat that?
That's what Roman did best this year.
He's an intimidating villain.
Yeah.
I think that whole promo, that whole segment was like the perfect storm of things that happened.
Yeah.
Of like you mentioned, like this back and forth between Sammy and Jay, where it culminated to a point where Jay said something that was off script. And then Roman perfectly just goes up and turns. And then Sami Zayn picks it up again. Like it's just this perfect storm of a segment.
And on top of that, Sami Zayn was really the perfect foil for Roman Reigns because he also brought Roman Reigns' lighthearted side out of him as well.
Yes.
Which he leaned into that also. Okay, so Roman Reigns showed a lot of versatility this year, character-wise. Like I said, matches were pretty much the same, but he showed a lot of character versatility this year that worked on camera, and I loved it.
What was it on?
Really good.
What was it on Friday? Sammy offered him popcorn, and he denied it. But when the cameras cut back to it, him and Paul Heyman had their own popcorn. With them, it's like it's those little comedy moments, that like I think really accent that storyline because he is like this imposing. Like, I am the one, like, leading this company because I'm the one at the top. And I have my lackeys and everything. And it's like when the lackeys get out of line, he just puts on, like, this boss, like, you want to repeat that for me? Like, the intimidating, like, boss, like, getting, like, looking down at you is like, do we have a problem here?
But like, and then again, he can lean into the lighthearted stuff as well, like the stuff that Sammy does. So, like I said, I had to put Roman at #1 for that reason. He's just gotten so much better as a character over the last 2 years compared to the rest of his career.
For sure. Like he went from saying suffering succotash in a promo.
Oh god. Yeah. Jesus. Again though, like everything with our first and everything with Moxley and Reigns, again, Rollins is the third most successful member of the Shield. But he's at the top two, and it's like that thing where it's like Moxley and Reigns are, the world title picture. but you have Seth steering the ship of the mid card. So everybody's kind of like in their roles in a way. But
Yeah.
I mean, great
We
list.
got there.
A lot of great lists. A lot of common names. A lot of names
Overlap.
that didn't, make the list. Like none of us, I think, had Bryan Danielson, Hangman Page. Like there's a lot of names that didn't make the list. But again, like if we're looking at just the overall year, I mean, Danielson puts on great matches, but he hasn't really done much outside of the Blackpool Combat Club story, and there's not really a lot going on with Regal being gone now.
Hangman just kind of stalled out this year too.
Yeah.
Up until this whole thing with Moxley, he kind of stalled out after that.
He had his feud. They kept him off TV for a bit after everything with CM Punk. I mean, they were still kind of dealing with Dark Order stuff. So
I think for me, I wanted to focus in on people who like had a breakout year, like Wheeler Yuta, like Konosuke Takeshita, like Jonah, like these people who had these years of like, no, you're going to watch me. This is you're going to watch me work, right?
Yeah.
And I think that was a lot of what helped me along with this list, particularly for the men and the tag teams.
Yeah. So we got through the men's column.
Part 1
in an hour and a half, so I guess we'll figure out scheduling for the next few. But yeah, I mean that's it. I want to hear in the comments from anybody watching who watches wrestling, like who are your top 10 for 2022? Who do you think had a breakout year? I don't watch all the promotions. I mean, I barely watch wrestling as it is. I catch everything on Twitter a lot these days. I'll buy the AEW pay-per-views when they come out, or I'll go to a buddy's house to watch the WWE ones, but like weekly wrestling, I don't really follow. I mean, there's a lot of promotions. I don't watch. More. I mean, the women's column, like there's probably fucking superstars in Stardom that I'm just not even aware of, so I'd love to hear what other people have to bring to the table here. But yeah, anything to add, Deca, before we wrap up everything?
No. Well, so this is completely unrelated to wrestling. But with the OGL being implemented, supposedly soon-ish.
Oh yeah, the D&D.
I have opted not to continue Call of the Netherdeep on this channel because we, including X and all the other guests we've had, have worked way too fucking hard on this channel. And I'm not gonna lose it. I'm not going to be the cause of losing it because Hasbro decided they wanted to get in our pockets.
Big move, Hasbro.
And I think, the thing that people argue is that live streams and stuff would fall under the fan content policy, which is a different thing altogether. But I think the overall spirit of it is, with how Hasbro is doing things, we just don't want to present that product until, they're not going to dick the community over. So,
right.
Yeah,
that is my stance on that, is that I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. So Call of Netherdeep will not be continuing. If anybody was hoping for that, sorry, we might find.
I apologize.
I mean, if you still, I don't know if he's going to continue recording sessions, we might give you all a means to get it all later, potentially. The Dummies D20s channel will continue the Naruto campaign. It is still D&D, but it's still fairly different enough to be its own thing. Not sure what we're going to do with Dark Tide since that's 5th edition. And if they dick over the community, I don't know if I want to run that. At least in that system. So I guess we might move the Pathfinder if Wizards fucks everybody over.
Pathfinder is also an OGL, so we got to work on that too.
Wow. 2nd edition might be a little different, but
I think 2nd edition is because I think what
it's a whole topic for another episode.
Yeah.
But
another
for the sake of this channel, unfortunately, Call of the Netherdeep is going to be canceled in its current state. And if you're not watching the podcast, we'll definitely put up another video with the announcement more officially. So, woo, Wizards alienating everybody. But yeah, I guess we need to work out where we can get the women and the tag team episodes recorded.
At some point.
at some point. So you'll probably see us for the next 2 weeks
Two?
after this also.
Mhm.
Yeah,
As we
I'm down if you guys are.
we're not going to adjust our list. This is all strictly for 2022. So even if they put on bangers in the next few weeks, that did not apply for 2022. So
Yeah,
Right.
that's why Okada was much lower on my list because he didn't win the title until this year, until 2023.
oh shit, he did. Okay, I was disqualified from my list. That's whatever. But yeah, so we'll be on the lookout for probably a small announcement video in regards to Call of the Netherdeep. And yeah, we'll probably see X for the next 2 weeks after this as we do our first 3-part
I'll be here.
podcast series. Just talking about wrestling. Hopefully people like this. I can't wait to get to the tag teams because there is a kind of last year was
Tag
kind of a
teams is-
golden year of tag team wrestling. So
It truly was.
I can't wait for the tag teams.
women is going to be fun too. There has been a lot of good women's matches last year also, and a lot of good stories from across wrestling.
I think there's a lot less overlap in those two lists too, from
Yeah,
what I've seen.
Yeah, most of my tag teams are actually just male tag teams, since there's not a large enough number of female tag teams, at least in the ones that I watch. So, but women's list,
that would be that,
I
yeah.
can see. I think we're going to have a lot of common names on that women's list, and I think a lot of us might have a top 3 that are very similar to each other.
Yeah, most likely.
But yeah, so thank you all for watching. We'll probably, if we don't make these the core episodes for the week, the next 2 episodes will definitely be released as extra episodes over the weeks. So I'll be that. And yeah, I got nothing else. So for Without Context, I guess we'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good night, y'all.